Okay, and let me, how many minutes do I have?
Someone had a question.
Oh, sorry, question? I missed someone. Oh, Massimo, yeah, sorry.
I don't understand the relationship of the result with the instrument, because you want to test what openness implies for regime, and you mentioned that the causality could go both ways, so let's take income as an instrument for openness, knowing that from the AR paper of Asimov et al., there is no relationship, there is no correlation between income and regime. So it seems like one would expect that once you put income, instead of openness, I would not expect to see, in fact, a positive impact on regime by the choice of the instrument. So I wonder whether you haven't biased your result by the choice of the instrument.
Massimo, so the classic instrument variable thing goes like this: that if you have an instrument, and like a good instrument, it should not be correlated with the shocks to democracy. It should not be. Also, it should not enter the regression by itself. There should be no reason. There is no modernization theory, in other words. But if that instrument is related to openness, you could have an instrument which is very strongly related to openness, but satisfies all these other requirements.
It's not exactly that it's not correlated with the shocks. It's uncorrelated with the change in regimes. In some sense, HAR is the reduced form for your regression, and it's telling you that reduced form is zero. Yeah. That there's no reduced form. So something very funny is going on here. Yeah. When the reduced form is not there, but the 2LS, something pops out with the 2S less, it tells you that either.
So if you substitute, so you're saying that if you substitute income in place of openness, you're going to get a zero coefficient on that.
Well, that's very much. I mean, I haven't changed that much. So, yeah, that's more or less.
But why does that invalidate the instrument?
Well, because
the first stage.
I don't know how this works. You are trying to invalidate a positive. You are trying to invalidate a positive sign with an instrument that has a zero coefficient. So
No.
The story is that part of the income change that is correlated with openness will work well, and you see it there. But there is another part of income changes that is not picked up when you use it as an instrument. And that's why if you put income as a whole, you get none.
That's exactly right. I mean, income. If you run a first stage regression of openness on income, it's a very strong fit. It's a very strong fit. There is no denying that, with fixed effects and with everything. It's a good instrument. The instrument is a good instrument.
I'm not problem with that, but absolutely. But the income change did not result into regime change, and not just in shocks, in Asimov's paper. So I think well. This is, I'm stretching my knowledge of economics stuff here.
We can discuss this. They have this well, yeah, we can continue that discussion, yeah. But that is the point at which I'd like more discussion, because that is the main part of the paper. Susan?
I actually wanted to raise a different question again related to openness. And when the preface by saying it's not fully clear to me whether you are talking about openness, what you would most like is an indicator of openness that is a policy related or an outcome related measure.
Sure.
Tariffs. The variable that you're looking at, well, not just tariffs, but the whole trade regime that would influence conditional on structure and location, geographically, a number of things.
Yes, yes.
What I might call a predisposition.
Yes, like a liberalization or something like that.
So it's not clear to me whether you're most interested in trying to find an instrument that identifies the openness in terms of the degree of policy or other factors. An income variable as an instrument would also be picking up the impact on both income and openness on shocks.
I agree with that.
I'm not sure which channel you're most interested in.
I agree with that. I would like a policy variable which has a lot of within variation, There isn't one. So if I put tariffs, for example, the fixed effects wash everything out. So and tariffs is just one dimension, like you mentioned. This is a problem that has not been solved in the literature. So, for example, the Roderick Hausman Roderick et al. Paper, they still use an outcome measure. They use surges in this outcome measure, but as kind of trying to get to what you're saying, because those surges will be caused by policy. They're not just continuous movements, and therefore they capture the policy variable. So we've got that. We've done that. The results are very similar. So I'll run short of time, but we've used exactly the Hausman Roderick paper to address this particular question that you have. So in a sense, we've covered our base on that at least. Right? 1 minute. So let me show you one more set of results, which is. Maybe not so. Yeah, binary dependent variable. So if you wanted to know about whether openness causes regime change, then the dependent variable is a 0-1 measure, a democracy and a non-democracy measure, and the measure that's most suitable to that, because then you're talking about political contestability, is the PACL measure, the Przeworski et al. Measure, and that's strongly negative. So for example, the coefficient on openness is minus 0.575 in the Ariana Bond model and minus 0.374 in the 2SLS model, and these are about the same magnitude that we are talking about in the previous one. So one standard deviation increase in openness will cause will increase the probability of moving from a democracy to a non-democracy by quite a bit. These are significant and both politically, economically, and statistically. Very bottom line messages. Let me go to the messages from the paper. I have a bunch of results and I'd welcome comments. But if there's a bottom line message, and this is my message for the afternoon session, it is this. So what's the message? The message is that openness needs to be managed carefully. So if countries have the ability, the redistributive instruments to manage globalization, because it's going to cause inequality, then you can handle that regime can handle this change without deteriorating. But if you have fragile institutions of redistribution, and Jamaica is a case in point, it's not going to be that easy unless and until the redistributive institutions are developed to counter the impact of globalization, which increases the income of the skilled and doesn't necessarily increase the income of the poor, at least not in that magnitude. Ken?